Today we're planting 880 daffodils. I have all the daffodils laid out here. Before we get to planting, I'm going to go through the different types we have and show you all the different colors. We're also going to be working on a few other yard garden projects today. We're going to be working on spreading some fertilizer for the grass and also a special product that I'll talk about a little later that is supposed to help kill all the Japanese beetles, which have currently been eating my roses all summer long. But I'll get more into that later. Let's talk first about all these daffodils. So I have a lot of different colors and varieties here. If you've been following our channel, then you know here on our driveway, last couple years, every year we've added some more. We've been planting daffodils all along this stretch of the driveway. And it's just such a wonderful, I feel like, happy sign from God in the spring when you see those yellow flowers popping up after a long winter. It just fills my heart with joy. So I want to add more joy to our lives, so we're going to add more flowers. Last year, I would say, was kind of the first year we completed this whole section of driveway here on the other side of me. We are going to mirror that over here. So this side of the driveway has daffodils, and I want there to be daffodils on both sides. So when you drive in our driveway in the winter, early spring, you just are welcomed with a beautiful, cheerful flower display. So Ryan has gone through and he's tilled up this section of driveway, and it's nice and soft and ready to plant all the daffodils. So we'll have it on both sides. Past when I planted daffodils on the left-hand side here, I just used a shovel and it was very time consuming, and we were doing it in little increments. So they weren't exactly straight or completely even and symmetrical. This time we're tilling up the whole section to do it all at once so that it'll be a nice even spread. We still have a few little patches here and there we need to add on to on the left. For the tilling process, we borrowed a tiller attachment for our skid steer. This is our first time using it, and it was pretty nifty. It actually worked pretty well. It's basically just a normal tiller, but it attaches to the front of the skid steer so that we can do a whole wide swath of daffodils all at once. As I mentioned, on the other side, the daffodils are not in a nice, perfect grid pattern, which is what we're aiming for over here. So it'll be nice to see that. I'm definitely glad that we have a tiller that we could borrow, because this would have taken a very long time to till by hand, which we don't even have a small hand tiller, or just a plant with a shovel. The goal is to get all these daffodils planted today because they are calling for heavy rain tomorrow, and we want to make sure that they're in the ground before that rain comes so that we don't have to be tracking over dirt with the bobcat when it's all muddy, because that'll really start tearing things up in the yard as well. Ryan always has lots of fun when he gets to play with a new implement or attachment for the skid steer, and this was no exception. So let's talk about all the different daffodils I have. I got a lot of these from Costco that you see here in the big bag, and these smaller plastic bags are some more unique varieties we'll talk about. I'll put pictures on the screen when we get to it, and those are from a few different companies. From Costco, I have two different varieties in these yellow bags here. There are 25 Dutch master bulbs, which are these really big plain yellow daffodil bulbs, and then the two-toned ones that have orange in the center and yellow on the outside are called Fortune. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's Fortune. Now, both of these bulbs say they get 18 inches tall, bloom mid-spring, and spacing in depth of 6 inches. Now, some daffodils grow taller than others, and I'll give the stats as we talk about the other varieties here. And some bloom early spring, some bloom mid-spring, some bloom late spring. So we'll have a nice little variety to show off in the driveway. So these yellow bags with the two different toned yellow daffodils from Costco. Let's see, how many of these do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 of these bags. Then, also from Costco, and these other bags, are white daffodils. These ones are actually called paper whites. The particular variety of paper white is called Ziva, Z-I-V-A. These ones spaced 6 inches apart, 6 inches deep as well, and have a height of 20 inches. So they actually get 2 inches taller than the yellow ones here. And one thing I like about these paper whites is that they kind of just form in little clusters. So on a single stem of flower, you'll see 3, sometimes 6, even more little white clusters of flowers. And I think they're so cute and adorable. So we've got several bags of those. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of the paper whites. I'm gonna go through all the plastic bags here we have laid out. Now, these don't look like much, but I'll throw pictures of what each of these varieties look like as we talk about them. First variety here is called the Altrus, A-L-T-R-U-I-S, and there are 25 of these.
This is a mid-spring blooming variety that gets 18 to 20 inches tall. And these ones just have such pretty copper yellow petals with that dark red center. I think they'll look really lovely. And it's a very unique color too.
Then we have 25 of Ice King, which is also a white daffodil variety. I actually have another bag of those additional Ice Kings.
This is also a mid-spring blooming variety and 10 to 16 inches tall on these. I just love the ruffly center on these. Most of the double daffodils that you're going to see, I'm going to probably say that I love because I think they're all so pretty and really cute.
Sir Winston Churchill.
This one blooms a little bit later. It is a late spring bloom time with 14 to 16 inches in height. And this one also forms small clusters of flowers towards the top of the stem, 3 to 5 on average for each flower stem.
There's 25 of those. Another bag of 25 of the Altrus again. 5 bulbs of Ehrlicher. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. E-R-L-I-C-H-E-E-R.
Ehrlicher is a very fragrant daffodil variety. This one is early to mid-spring blooming, and I really love these little flower rosettes on the top. I feel like it looks like icing on a wedding cake. These ones have 15 to 20 flowers on each stem, so more of a cluster of tiny flowers, and they grow 12 to 14 inches tall.
This name I think is so fun. 5 bulbs of double peach cobbler. Now, some of the bulbs I bought are doubled daffodils, which they look really ruffly and kind of look like there's 2 flowers in one, sort of. They're pretty cool, I think.
This peach cobbler daffodil, I think, really does look so pretty, true to its name. It is a height of 15 to 18 inches tall, and this particular variety blooms in mid-spring. It's also supposed to be good for naturalizing as well, which most daffodils typically are.
Then another double daffodil variety called Solar Wind.
This is a mid-spring variety that grows 14 to 18 inches tall as well. I feel like it's the lemon version of peach cobbler that we just looked at. Peach cobbler looks orange in the center, and this one has that vibrant lemon color in the middle.
I actually have 2 of the Solar Wind, and there's another one of the Ehrlicher. Another daffodil called Yellow Cheerfulness.
Yellow Cheerfulness is a mid to late spring blooming variety that gets 14 to 16 inches tall. I think on the Yellow Cheerfulness, what makes it extra cheerful is that the outer petals are rounded in their shape. It just gives it more of a soft feminine look than a pointed petal, I think. Very pretty.
This one, the bulbs are a lot smaller than, for instance, the peach cobbler ones. I don't know if you can really tell through the bag, but some of these bulbs are smaller, some are really big. This one has really big bulbs. These ones are probably double, if not triple the size of the last one we just looked at. This is a butterfly super mixture. So there's several different varieties of butterfly daffodils in here. And they are so unique and very different from all the other daffodils that we have. So I think that'll be fun to have. Then we have tahini daffodils.
You've probably noticed a theme by now. I really like the double daffodil varieties. I just think they are so fun. There's so many ones out there. I went for what was on sale, but there are so many different varieties and collectible ones that you've never even heard of before or seen before. And it's definitely fun to look at all the different pictures and to grow them yourself.
Another big bag of the butterfly super mixture. Another bag of yellow cheerfulness. I just love all the different daffodil names. I feel like a lot of them perfectly represent how daffodils make me feel. Like yellow cheerfulness, peach cobbler. I feel happy when I have peach cobbler. I feel very cheerful when I see those daffodils in the spring after a long winter. So whoever named these must appreciate them just as much as I do, I feel like. Sir Winston Churchill is the next one. Tahiti is the last bag here. So we've got all these daffodil bags, and my plan is I want them to have a nice even mixture as we go all the way down the driveway. So in order to accomplish that, I'm going to open up all these bags, put them in the wheelbarrow, and kind of mix them all together. That way we have truly kind of a random, sporadic planting of them as we go down the driveway versus having, for instance, all the paper white daffodils together in one big clump. I want them spread out all along. And daffodils do naturalize here, which basically just means they will spread and eventually fill in as well. So as we plant them, we are going to be planting them with the 6-inch spacing and 6 inches deep into the soil. And then over time, those daffodils will also fill in and kind of just grow and spread. So it'll be a beautiful sight here this year, but it'll also be even prettier in a few years to come. So let's go ahead and put all these daffodils into the wheelbarrow and get to planting.
Ryan's actually opening up all the bags for me and dumping them into the wheelbarrow. He was my cameraman there a second ago, filming everything, and we switched roles here. Now, all these daffodils, for the most part, look pretty good. We did run across 1 or 2 bags that had some rotten bulbs in them, which I actually have noticed that most of the time when I buy bags on clearance, it's kind of hit or miss whether or not you get really good ones. For the most part, they're good, but occasionally you do run across a couple rotten ones. Our kids also jumped in and helped open bags and run back and forth to grab bags that were blowing away in the wind. It was a little windy that day and made a fun adventure to chase the plastic bags across the yard. Here is my oldest son showing you guys the daffodils. That one he said looked like a baseball. There's definitely some really big ones that almost look like onions in the wheelbarrow, as well as some smaller varieties as well. Depending on the variety of a daffodil, kind of depends on the size. There are some daffodil varieties that have, I would say more like a golf ball size, and some that are more like a small onion. Now Ryan's using his hands just to kind of give everything a really good mix and let the daffodils hopefully get evenly distributed so that we have a nice mix. I'm sure there will be some clumps of different varieties in certain spots because, we're not going to be able to mix them perfectly, but I would like to do our best here to try to get it. As she's mixing them, you can see a couple of them have pre-sprouted a little bit. Now, I don't think that's a problem. We're getting them in the ground today, so they should be fine. But ideally, you would want to plant all your daffodils before they sprout. There was also some that had 2 daffodils attached to one another. You can see my son just broke the one of them, and you can separate them, and then you actually have 2 bulbs instead of 1. Now, here he is showing you some different bulbs. You can see there's roots on one end of the daffodil bulb, and on the other side, it is pointy. Roots go down towards the ground, and the pointy end goes up towards the sky. So when you're planting them, you don't want to plant them horizontally. You want to plant them vertically with roots straight down and the point pointing straight up towards the sky, but obviously covered with dirt. The general rule of thumb is about 6 inches deep on the daffodils. Now, that also kind of depends on the size of the daffodil, too. You just want to make sure that you have a nice, good coverage of soil across the daffodil bulb. When all these daffodils are together here in the wheelbarrow, I feel like it looks like a lot more than when they were just laid out in bags on the table. 880 daffodils is quite a lot of daffodils. We have a beautiful, gorgeous fall day here, though, to plant them. We couldn't ask for a prettier day. The trees along the driveway are just starting to change colors. There's a little bit of yellow and red and orange starting in the leaves. It's a beautiful day.
Ryan is getting a tape measure out just to give us a rough every 6-inch planting. This side over here is going to look a lot nicer because Ryan's doing the measuring. When I planted this side, I did not measure at all. So probably should have Ryan measured with the last side too. That's a common theme in our marriage. When Ryan helps me, things look a lot nicer. So this will be the beautiful side, but I'm sure each side will still be beautiful. That is what a whole wheelbarrow full of daffodils looks like. That's a whole lot.
Ryan actually got 2 tape measures out so we can measure the same distance vertically and horizontally. Now, we were planning on doing every 6 inches, but we ended up doing about every foot apart because we did our math wrong. I had enough daffodils to plant the entire way if we did every foot instead of every 6 inches. So we went ahead and did that because the daffodils will naturalize, so over time it will spread and fill out the area. Plus, we wanted to go ahead and get all these planted today versus buying more and waiting on them to arrive to plant a different day. Plus, we didn't really want to buy any more. We wanted to keep our 880 and make that work for us. So our final spacing is a foot apart, and we are still going a good 6 inches deep, though. You can see Ryan is using what's called a hori-hori knife to plant the actual bulb itself. And that knife has little markings of measurements on it. And he's going pretty much all the way to the handle on every bulb and planting them. The ground is very, very soft because of Ryan's couple passes he made with the tiller, but the hori-hori knife just gave him a nice, clean little push in to plant bulbs. It didn't really take any effort at all for him to actually push them. Every once in a while, we got a double daffodil where there was 2 bulbs attached to each other, which just means we got a little freebie. I have the best little helper here helping me supervise Ryan's work. There's really no supervising needed, but we're just chatting and keeping each other company. Project number 2 for the weekend is killing Japanese beetles, hopefully once and for all. The product that we are going to be spreading today is called Milky Spore by St. Gabriel's Organics. This is what a normal bag of it looks like. We bought big drums of it because we are planning on putting it all over our property. So Ryan has gone all across the front yard, the side yard, the backyard, and also in our individual garden beds around the house, and has placed the Milky Spore powder every few feet in a grid pattern all across our property. So how the Milky Spore powder works is you're not killing the Japanese beetle in the beetle stage. You are trying to get rid of the Japanese beetles when they're in the grub stage in the ground. So we put the powder in the ground, it soaks into the ground, and then the grubs will come along and eat that powder, and then it kills off the Japanese beetles. And then that powder will also spread as time goes on. So eventually it'll also cover a greater distance of our yard. And then that will hopefully reduce the Japanese beetle population. This is our first time using the Milky Spore powder, but I've read lots of reviews and heard lots of success stories with it. So I'm very hopeful that it'll work well for us here in Virginia. The Japanese beetles have been completely decimating my roses the last few years in the summer and the garden as well. And so I'm hopeful that this will be a good long-term solution for controlling them. We are spreading the Milky Spore powder. It also comes in a granular stage as well. For the powder form, Ryan just made a little PVC pipe with a shaker at the bottom of it, and every few feet in that grid-like pattern, like I mentioned, he went around and put some of the Milky Spore down. Now, it's best to do this on a non-windy day. You can see right now when he's doing it, there's pretty much no wind, none of the trees are moving, and it's staying in place, but there's definitely still a little bit of a blow around at his feet where he's actually having the powder dispensed. Having this tube made the process go a lot faster than taking a little bit of the powder and dumping it by hand, which is what he started out doing. And we quickly realized that it was much faster to use the tube. So the Milky Spore also spreads over time. So by having it in just a grid-like pattern, eventually it will cover more square footage as time goes on. You can see my roses are looking really pretty right now, and the flowers are still looking lovely, even though fall is upon us, and it will soon be frost here in a couple weeks. But I'm thankful that we still have a few more weeks of flowers here, and we can enjoy them. Hopefully, this Milky Spore powder will make flowers look pretty year-round, and the Japanese beetles won't destroy them like they do every summer. You can see in the mulch, the powder is just little white spots here and there. We're planning to have rain the rest of the weekend, so this powder will get washed in nicely with the rain once the rain comes. Ryan's doing a really good job keeping it in a nice grid, though.
Our grass is really starting to look pretty good. We've done some lime application, and Ryan has aerated the yard, and now we're applying some fertilizer here in the fall to hopefully continue our grass journey and make it look even more lush and beautiful. You can look back on our YouTube channel and see some other videos we've had done on our grass and the process of what we started with just not that long ago, and it's really made a big improvement in just a short amount of time.
We are applying 2 different types of fertilizer to the yard. We did this actually a couple weeks after we did the Milky Spore fertilizer. It's just taking me a while to get this video out and for us to get our projects done. Now, we have a little tow-behind spreader for the lawnmower that we're using to spread the fertilizer. There are a few different types of fertilizers out there, obviously, that you can buy. We had our soil tested by Virginia Tech Soil testing center. You can send in a sample of your soil if you live in the state of Virginia, and Virginia Tech, which is a university here in Virginia, will test your soil and give you soil results back. So we are spreading fertilizer based on the needs of our soil. Your soil is going to be different than ours, so I recommend getting your soil tested before you just go out and buy a random fertilizer to spread it. The yellow bags that Ryan is dumping into the spreader are 10-10-10 fertilizers. And then we actually have a second bag that we're applying as well that is 28-0-10. Now, what Ryan is doing is he's doing a whole pass of the 10-10-10, and then he's going back and doing another pass of the second fertilizer versus trying to mix them both together in the spreader and then spreading them that way, kind of like we do with the daffodil bulbs. He's just doing 2 different passes. That way, hopefully it'll give a more even coverage on the yard. We are going to also be doing a second application of these fertilizers here in about a month's time, because that's what our soil sample test recommended, to do 2 different applications a month apart. So we're following the recommendations on that soil test. And so far we have noticed a big difference just by applying lime. We did lime 2 different applications now, and the grass is looking a lot better than it was before. We still have a long way to go to get the lush green yard that we would like, but we've made a lot of progress, especially if you look back on older pictures and videos of what the yard looked like before. I think it's come a long way.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to see how these daffodils turn out for us, and also how the Milky Spore Japanese beetle killer does for us as well, then be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like today's video, and check back in this coming spring to see all these pretty flowers blooming. Thank you for watching. Bye, y'all.